What did he say? What did the guy inside of my mouth say? Identity is something that's sacred to all of us. It can be found in terms of cultures we subscribe to, common interests we have, the music we like, and other things that we feel generally group us together with others. However, if you forgot those things, then who would you be? A lot of mediums talk about identity and our relationship with the world around us. Psychology can explain this from a scientific perspective, and art can express this from a creative perspective. Today we take a look about how the two affect us and how that's displayed in the anime Dorohedoro. And before I get into it, if you have not seen Dorohedoro, spoiler alert ahead. The story starts with one of the coolest skaters you've probably ever met, Nikaido, and her scaly reptilian friend, Kiman. Something a little bit similar to someone my long-term fans may know as the Reptilian Overlord. Kiman and Nikaido are spending their day and night on a war banner against the wizards, who come from another world. And to that end, these guys come from a place known as the Hole. The Hole is a place that wizards go to try to practice magic on humans, turning them into anything from giant insects to people who have squid heads. Generally, they're not only feared by the people in the Hole, but the wizards are also hated. And throughout the show on Netflix, we see a multitude of clashing identities, where predominantly it's human versus magician, or those without magic versus those with magic. The show immediately introduces us to characters who are looking for the true identity of Kiman and who he really is, but also the wizards and how they identify and fit in with the culture. We see the wizards with an often pompous and superiority kind of complex to that of a normal human. It raises two questions immediately. One of those questions is, what is my identity with the world? And the other is, what is my identity with myself? The first one is best seen in Nikaido, and the second is best seen in Kiman. In order for us to dig a little bit deeper in these two things, let's dive into the thoughts of Carl Jung. Now, Jung had 5 concepts that he proposed about identity: the persona, the collective unconscious, the individuation, shadow, and self. For the sakes of this video, we'll only be focusing on 3: persona, individuation, and self. The first of these concepts is persona, a concept Jung came up with, which basically is the mask you put on to represent yourself from others, or to others. This could be why when we're in a group or when we're being watched by others, we tend to change a little more of ourselves, and we tend to change a little bit being around other people. This, I believe, relates to Nikaido. When we first see her, she's pretending to not be a wizard, and she's masking herself to other people in the Hole, including Kiman. And it wasn't until the end of the show that we see it come out who she really is. We get hints here or there of her having knowledge of how to get to the mage's world, and even her talks with demons, and her going to a shop which they state this magic is not only rare but very powerful. And so we get little hints to show us who Nikaido really is, and we even see her wrestling with her past by talking to a demon, and that is what reveals to us the demon-shaped tumor which is in the head of all magicians. Now let's talk about the alligator in the room, Kiman. Self is a concept I believe that applies to Kiman. As Carl Jung says, it is the central archetype, the one that represents wholeness and integration of the individual. This is a journey about Kiman becoming whole, or at least desiring to become whole. Or some of my Guilty Gear fans may recognize it as the circle. Throughout the show, we see Kiman constantly snacking on the face of other living creatures in order to get the identity of the man inside of his mouth. Presumably, it's himself. To that end, he even goes into the wizard's world, challenges some of the most powerful mages in order to discover himself. As Jung would say, the journey towards self-realization involves the development and the integration of various components of the self, leading to a more authentic and individuated identity, which is what Kiman is searching for throughout his journey. But Kiman almost eventually ends up abandoning this quest entirely to save Nikaido, showing to him, although he is on his quest for self-discovery and who he is, that the people that exist in his life now and the journey has become more important now than the destination. and that perhaps these are the moments that are truly what make self-identity, which possibly is what the writer has been trying to tell us. Because once it is discovered who Nikaido really is, Kiman puts his quest on the back burner so that he can go and save Nikaido, and he fights very many powerful wizards just to get Nikaido back. I believe that this was done on purpose, and this was done to show us that, the things that are in front of us sometimes are the things that are what really matter the entire time. I believe it's also important to mention individuation, which is Jung's concept of referring to the lifelong journey of self-discovery and realization. Ultimately, much like our abrupt ending with this anime, Kiman and Nikaido have to spend a journey finding out who Kiman is, even if it's in the manga. Once they do find who he is, how does it really affect his life? Does it truly end up mattering? Does it really impact the experiences he's had up until this moment? Does it even really define him anymore once he finds out, or when he found out who he really was? These are some of the questions that I would ask for Kiman and to those who identify with these two characters. In conclusion, although I doubt this show will ever come back truly, if we do want the show to come back, we have to show support to the show and to the writer. However, I will propose the question that I asked at the beginning of the video. Who are you? Without the things that group us together, what do you remain? If you like this video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us grow here at Interstellar. And stay tuned. Peace, y'all.